Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Caps. I'm Isaac Anderson, one of the hosts. I am the author of The Song of Bones and The Garden Maze. I'm joined by my co-host, Tim McKay, the author of The Fall of Selvandrea. And our very special guest today is Natalie Kelda, the author of the Inner Universe series. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm slightly melting because it's hot here in the UK. But
Yes.
otherwise, I'm good. Yeah.
The UK is in meltdown right now, but hopefully we can do this show before everything goes kaput.
I think I'm fine as long as I don't go driving because the roads melt as well. Like nothing is built for heat here. So, but it's not built for cold either. It's basically it's just built for the middling rain that we have most of the year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, Ottawa, Canada is kind of the same. We get the extremes, in extreme summer and extreme winter, but overall it's a very humid area. So fall and spring, kind of our average weather, is a lot like UK. From everything I've heard, and then which means the initial transition we're never prepared for. So when summer hits and we get like today, we're at something like 30, 33 degrees Celsius. For all our American friends, I'm not even going to do the transition. You know what? This is fun. I get to talk to Natalie today, and we both use Celsius. It's great.
He heard that we started. Sorry.
Hey, yes, there you made it.
You might disappear again, but at least you said hi.
It's not a chat with Natalie Kelda unless Barry is in the show. So at least now we can start.
Oh, you found his treats now, finally.
Brilliant. Oh man. Yeah, anyways, so yeah, I feel bad though. There's nothing being at least I have AC. If I was trapped in this kind of heat on the inside, being compressed within the walls of I am so sorry. I've been there. I when I first moved into an apartment, we had a summer where it was about 40 degrees, like 3 or 4 days in a row, and I didn't have AC for the first week.
Oh God.
Yeah. That was a treat. That was so hopefully you're doing okay.
All this talk of varying degrees and languages of describing that. You write sci-fi.
Yeah, well, space.
Do you write British sci-fi?
Yeah.
What is that like?
There's loads of like northern slang in there because I've lived in North. I moved to Manchester about 9 years ago. Actually, it's about 9 years ago, and I've not really been south since I moved here. So I've picked up everything, all the slang, and now I live in Yorkshire and. I can't hear my accent changing at all, but last year I went to Scotland and everyone thought it was from Yorkshire. But it has changed because when I moved here, everyone thought it was from Australia. So
that's fun. I was going to ask, did you pick up any Australian accent when you lived there?
Apparently, people can still hear it if I if I talk about like farming things and sheep and horses and stuff like that. I start getting back into the broad Australian, but people didn't understand me when I moved here because it was proper broad Australian, like way more than Steve Irwin.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. Yeah, you spend enough time. I had some British friends visiting for like a week once, and so I spent enough time with them that I accidentally started slipping into the accent, and they thought I was faking, and I didn't notice I was doing it. I felt terrible.
People think that you were just making a joke, and it's
they thought I was mocking them. It was really funny. Yeah. So, but it just happens, it's part of the fun of traveling. But yeah, then I don't know. So, you said you haven't gone back south. Have you gone to family outside of the UK at all and gotten the comparison to, between Australian, two different UK accents, and then original Scandinavian?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the funny thing is my Danish accent is also stronger than it used to be because I pretty much just talk to my family and my close friends from like one tiny town.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to, because normally here in the UK, I'll say I sound like a Scouse, like someone from Liverpool. But I don't know how to even describe it for people that don't understand British accents. But it's a very, very regional accent, very strong. People understand what I say, but everyone like immediately they know where I'm from because of how it's a bit staccato the way that you speak there, and it's
Okay.
just like if I speak Danish, like people always ask me, "Oh, can you teach me some Danish?" And I'm like, "You don't want me to teach you Danish because people are gonna joke that you're a farmer's person because of the way I speak."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. Yeah, it's like when I lived in Quebec City. I had a few friends who were from France. I don't think they were from Paris. They were from kind of countryside France. So very
You wouldn't
distinct.
know if they're from Paris or not because
Yeah.
French people not from Paris hate everyone from Paris, and I don't know why.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they weren't. I know I had a Parisian French teacher in like elementary school, but that's different. So, but these I was spending a lot of time with these French people, and then also a lot of time with Quebecois French, which is very, very different. And so I would flip back and forth between kind of those two accents when I was speaking French. It was very funny because they all hated me. Whichever party I was with, I was always switching back and forth. And getting it wrong. So that's the point. Is it just sounded like very jumbled, terrible French.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that happens if I sort of speak too much with Australian friends, watch some Australian TV or something. Then I start slipping, and if I speak about tractors and farming and stuff like that, it gets very hard to not start slipping into and start saying things that they don't even use here in the UK, like saying zucchini instead of courgette, or calling peppers capsicum, stuff like that, where I sort of forget that's not, I can't always remember.
That's funny. Yeah. All the little regional different words for things that I can't keep track of. That's too much, especially talking to friends from the UK. And howdy, everyone showed up in the chat. Howdy, Lucas. Howdy, Tim. Yes, we got a full roster, and it's nice and early in the morning. So, yeah, people are here for you. It's awesome. Yeah. So, I don't know. Tell us a bit more about. Let's dive into the books. I'm really excited to talk about your newest one, but we'll get to that. So maybe let's hear a bit more about Inner Universe, which I've started, but I'm not as far into this as I would like. And I've read a few different pieces of yours. I've read some of this. I've read something else of yours, and I've read your, Lilia. We'll get to it, but I want to make sure I pronounce it right. Lilia Damselfly, right? Which, and I love the name. And it's really fun how varied your prose is. So that's something I want to get into. But let's talk about science fantasy and wooden ships in space. So that's awesome. Yeah. Tell us a bit more.
It's a good starting point because River in the Galaxy is the first book I used to just write in Danish. I tried once or twice to write some short stories in English, but I just never it never felt right. And then I think it was the first or the second year. I think it was the second year I was living in the UK. But I lived in Australia and Canada before that, so I lived in Toronto. So I sort of know what Ottawa's like. I've been through Ottawa, but so I think that must have been year 4, maybe 4 or 5, that I was living in English-speaking countries. So something must just have clicked at that point, and it felt right to switch over and write in English.
It's still a huge transition.
It is. It's. I mean, the first draft was the first many. I mean, I wrote the first 7 books. I wrote them in about quite like it was in a year or something, but they were terrible, like just horrible.
That's still wild because they're what? They're, I mean, 400. This is 450 pages, and you wrote 7 books. Well, 6 at least, roughly that size. That's wild. Within a year.
Yeah. So I mean, I do write quite fast, but I wrote too fast for those. I think I just needed to sort of get into the habit, and they were also all written in first person. So that's why it wasn't really that big of a deal when I decided to just scrap everything, rewrite from the start, because after loads and loads of feedback, I realized the main issue I had was not so much like the prose. I'm pretty, because I've been living in English-speaking countries, and I'm from Denmark, which when I was in school, we started English lessons at 12. They start
Okay.
at 7. They start at 7 now. So my nephews all speak English,
Oh,
and the youngest is 11. So yeah, the youngest has just been here, and he just understands everything. Like he understands more than his mom, which is crazy.
That's wild. Yeah.
So obviously I've had English for many, many, many years. I'm 33, I think. So
Okay.
yeah, so for a good portion, pretty much 20 years of my life now, I've been introduced to English. But my main issue is that I have quite dark subject matters most of the time.
Mm.
And you can't always write first person in that because people get too depressed. So all the feedback for River and the Galaxy, I had so many people read through it and teach me so much. But the main feedback was that they couldn't deal with it being in first person because Merlin is very depressed. He's grieving the loss of his best friend. There's just a lot of things going on, which if you're in like proper in his head,
Wow.
it's very depressing. So that's why I ended up switching it up over, and then I decided to just switch the whole series over because all of it would be quite depressing otherwise.
Fair, but I don't know if I've ever heard that. I've always heard the opposite complaint of, oh, third person is so distant. I want to be in the character's head. Why didn't you write in first person? I always hear that. I love third, but I understand that critique, but I don't think I've ever heard of the opposite of someone saying, whoa, too much, you know, give me some, that's really, wow. I mean, that tells me you probably did something very right.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably why Lily Damselfly is in first person because that's a story where I'm not sure it would work if it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because we will talk about that later. But yeah, for that series anyway, I ended up switching it all over, rewriting the whole thing.
That's wild. That's no small
I'm not
task.
sure where the idea come from. Like I had a dream. So the first 13 chapters, I think it is, in River and the Galaxy, that's from the dream.
Wow.
I have elaborate dreams.
Yeah, switch to the
obviously.
the
So yeah, like the whole thing, the opening scene where Merlin is discussing to go on like a trip, an exploration trip through unknown galaxies, through a river. A gas river. I didn't even know that gas rivers do exist in space. I found out like way into the rewrite that they do actually exist.
That's awesome.
But I don't know where I knew all these things, and then it was definitely very influenced by studies. So at the time I wrote the main series, I was still studying as a biologist. That's why I moved to the UK. So I think that's why I've always been, fantasy's always been my thing. I've never got into Star Wars or anything like that, even though that's quite fantasy. But Lord of the Rings has always been like that sort of epic fantasy I was drawn to. But I think because I was studying science, it's sort of mixed in my head in a different way than usual. So I think that's how I ended up. And I love tall ships. I mean, to me, the tall ships are way cooler than like. There's no fancy high technology spaceship that's as cool as a tall ship to me.
I'm right there with you. Absolutely.
So putting them in space, because space is cool as well, but it's cooler with tall ships, I think.
Yeah, it's a very unique combination, and I am all for it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So one of the things with all the feedback I got when I'd rewritten it to be in third person, and I started sort of thinking about maybe I should try and publish it. I wasn't sure at first if I should query, but I pretty fast realized that there's no comp titles. So I asked for comp titles, and one of my good friends from my old writing group, she was like, have you seen Treasure Planet? Because your book is basically Treasure Planet. And I'd never heard of it. I'm
wild.
so glad she mentioned it because it's the perfect pitch. It's like, it's a grown-up treasure planet. It's more depressing, but also fun. Like,
what do you mean grown-up Treasure Planet? I'm just kidding.
Treasure Planet's a masterpiece.
I love Treasure Planet. It's so good because tall ships in space.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's awesome that you hadn't even seen it before getting into this. I love that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I discovered it less than a year out from actually publishing. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
I mean, that's not that long ago. Because I mean, I think the first one you said 2023. Was that right?
23. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's wild. So just within the last year. Yep.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting that you hadn't seen Treasure Planet. We were talking uh Isaac and I think earlier this week, and we were laughing because we thought of Treasure Planet 2, and then we were complaining because there was supposed to be a sequel. There was talk of
Yeah.
a sequel, and I guess that's
Not just talk, there was work on a sequel.
Mm.
But Disney sunk their own ship because Treasure Planet was a very expensive
Unintended.
movie.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think they didn't really, as far as I understand, they didn't do any sort of advertising for it. There was
They
there was
had-
that whole group of movies that came out then that you didn't hear about till years later. Like
Yeah,
Emperor's
so,
New Groove is one of them. Like it's a masterpiece. I love that movie. You can
What was
watch it
the one?
endlessly.
the Disney's upper brass, they wanted to do more CGI stuff, but they had all this 2D stuff in development.
Mm.
And they didn't want to have more 2D stuff in development, so they wanted to make sure that they didn't do very good, so they could switch over to 3D fully. And that included a lot of bad advertising, a lot of just no advertising, and it was rough.
It makes no like. And some of the 3D is amazing. Like Coco is just so beautiful, but a lot of it just feels very similar. Like
Yeah, because
like the last many movies, I can't tell the difference because they all look the same. Where with the 2D animation, they all had you could tell that it was different artists working on them. And that's
2D
really
was much more pure because you had actual hands making it.
Yeah.
The 3D stuff, you're working with puppets basically. It's a very complicated puppet show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
just
fun,
very
but
different.
everything was the same puppet.
Yeah, I mean I'm biased because I'm a more 2D artist, like on my cover and that. But yeah, I definitely prefer sort of the hand drawn. I like what they're doing with. I've only seen clips, but Into the Spider-Verse, and I've seen the Puss in Boots, the new one. I think they must have borrowed from Into the Spider-Verse because that's older. But that's sort of where they mix it, that's really nice.
Spider-Verse is a little too frenetic for me. It's hard for me to follow. There's so much going on screen.
I don't do superhero movies at all, so I've seen clips of it, but I'm never going to sit through it.
But
it's just
Puss in Boots was the perfect level of energy.
Yeah.
They
so it helps that it was also written like so well, but
yeah, very fair. Yeah, so back to Inner Universe. So I mean, it sounds like you have most, if not all of it, essentially written at this point. You have 5 books out right now in the series. Right?
5.
I think I saw the latest one was this one.
That's
right?
the latest, yeah. So I've got 5 full length, and then I do have a novella that I don't really talk about much because you have to read Robbers of McGrath to read this one.
Let's give it a full size treatment here. There we go.
Yeah. So Interim Tales. You could probably read it by itself, but you won't get because it's really emotional. The novella because there's a year in between Robbers of McGrath and the final book by Silver Blues in this trilogy. So it's a long series, but you can actually jump around.
Okay.
That's why most of the covers are sort of color coded. So the more blue ones is Merlin's, the magenta pinky one is Tara, or the green ones that's Balfour.
Okay.
So you get different main characters, and you can actually each main character has their own arc, and you can just read their books or single book. And then the reason Interim Tales is weird, like it's not green, even though it's part of Balfour's trilogy, is because I've got 5 point of views in there. So it's basically stuff that's vital to know, but it's been cut from the main books.
And all within, and that one you said is a novella, so 5 perspectives within the novella itself.
Yeah, it's sort of, I mean, it's within a year, isn't it? So it's just little scenes, sort of giving you emotional, because stuff happens. I don't want to spoil Rolls of McGrath, but basically the characters are sort of all over the place, and we get a villain perspective, which I normally don't do because I don't like being in it. My villains are usually horrible, and I don't like being in their heads.
I hear you. Yeah.
But yeah, we get one in this one, which I'm just waiting for someone to read the book and be like, oh my god, what is happening?
How did you find it finally doing it? Was it too much or fun or?
I'm glad. I think it's basically a short story, that one, like that perspective, and it was tough to write. It was fun in a way, but it's also, there's so many times where I'm like, oh my god, I hope nobody thinks that I think this way, because this person is just thinks everyone else is beneath and is like a bit of a colonizer in like their mindset, and I just don't like it.
I've definitely written some from I've written from some nastier POVs. I'm trying to think back if I have any chapters from pure villain. I was hesitant to do it because I blasted through the Wheel of Time series in a very limited period. And at a certain point in the books, I think every book for the next 3 or 4 or 5, like it's a significant number, all their prologues start with a villain POV chapter. And I got very bored of them while simultaneously not liking being inside the perspective of someone that just sinister. Even though I feel like I've liked it in other spots, but it turned me off from it temporarily. Maybe I'll come back to it in my books, but yeah, like it's not the same as just writing a broken character. It's writing just you're incorporating that level of not just faulty character, but malevolent character.
Exactly. Someone who like this character wants to be a dictator. That's like been the life goal always, and slavery is like their favorite sort of business because it pays well. And I just there's so many
slavery is
things.
great.
Yeah,
it's fantastic for a villain.
There's a clip, and there goes our channel. Damn it, Isaac. I'm just kidding.
Well, my villains are pretty rotten. And
your villains are great.
Their POV chapters are very fun to write. They're very easy to write because, this second book is getting more complicated because their motivations are evolving. But it's fun to kind of be evil for a little bit, just a little bit, and then you get back to the good guys.
Comically isn't the right word, but I'm going to use it. You know what I mean? There's a comical. They're almost comically evil without being childish.
Yeah, they are kind of comic relief a little bit without being funny.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like when you're with my main characters, it's like, oh no, what are we gonna do? We're in big trouble for most of the time. And then when we switch to the bad guys, you see their perspective of the situation, and it's a little bit more mustache twirling, I guess.
Yeah, that's
so it's a little bit fun to get into their POVs.
Or like, what was his name in Inspector Gadget? You know, petting the cat.
The Claw.
The Claw. Yeah, that's what I picture. Yeah, maybe this is the beginning of your villain arc, Natalie. You can have Barry on your lap. Just.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He's sleeping underneath now. It's normally he sleeps there, but it's too hot with the snake enclosure heat coming up as well. So.
Does your I don't know if I can see, but does your snake ever make appearances in shows?
Normally yes, because you would be able to see that's his ledge that he sleeps on there. But because it's so hot and he doesn't actually like heat, he's like lock himself down. Which I mean, it's incredible that you can't. I've not seen him for days. I know he's there because I dropped a dead rat in there and it disappeared, so he's still alive. But he's dug underneath. He's got like, it's hard to tell, but he's got like a giant enclosure.
Yeah, wow.
With dirt and plants and everything. It's a bull snake, so you actually have them in Australia and the US.
Yeah, that's an awesome setup.
But he's like 4.5 foot long, and you just can't see him. He's just gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the inner universe began as a dream for you.
Yeah.
How did you take that dream and transform it into this massive series? What was that process like?
It wasn't on purpose. So when it was really fortunate. So I was studying at the time, and I happened to have this dream that inspired me on a Saturday where I wasn't working. So I was able to sit down straight away as I woke up. I was like, oh, this is cool. I do that a lot where I have a dream or an idea, and I'll just sit and quickly jot some ideas down. But this time, for some reason, I opened a Word document instead of just a OneNote file. And the idea was that's what I told myself when I sat down was, oh, this is cool. I'll write a 3-page short story. And then
much for that.
yeah, but then because there was so much in the dream, and it was really detailed, like the whole that whole opening scene of Merlin looking over the maps, being in the castle, Goodball Castle, and just talking to the Foreign Affairs Chancellor. All that was in the dream, and there was so much detail. So I wanted to write all that down. And before you've done that, it's more than a 3-page short story already. And then because there was the ship, and I wanted to describe the ship, like those opening scenes haven't actually changed all that much, other than I've changed to third person, and I've added some again because of feedback, because Merlin can be quite, I think he's difficult because for people, they might see themselves when they're depressed, because he's so in his head, super mopey, kind of grumpy all the time. So I added some very, very short flashbacks. We're talking like 2 or 3 paragraphs each of him before his friend died, and up until his friend died. That's really the only sort of structural changes. Okay. Otherwise, those first chapters, I wrote it all out. In the dream, there were space crocodiles in the gas river, like they were there. I think I've cut out the mention, or maybe it's still there, actually, I can't remember, but in the dream there were sort of, it looked like gas trees, like in the horizon, before they get to a strange floating city that they don't know what is. That was all in the dream. So by the time I'd written all that, I was like, well, I need to write the rest now, because so
awesome.
I think
you had me at Space Crocodile, which I've heard you say before, but
I wrote for like 10 hours that first day, because it kept coming.
Wow.
And then when the second half has changed a lot, but when I got to the end, I was like, there's still something missing, because he's on a quest to find his parents, and spoiler alert, but he doesn't find them in the first book.
Darn it.
Yeah. It actually, that's what I really struggle with, because it could just have been one really, really, like 100-page book, but it's a duology, because it's sort of, it got too fat to print, basically. So I had to cut it up somewhere, which is why if you read it, you can't just read it as one long, because it like the second one picks up moments after the first one ends.
Did you I'm kind of in the same boat right now, so this really applies to where I'm at. And I Isaac can tell you, I flip-flop on this decision almost daily at this point, where my sequel that I'm working on, originally it's meant to finish this 2-part arc, really. So, but at this point, so it was going to be a 3-part book, and at this point, parts 1 and 2 are so long that if I do the third part, this is easily going to be over 200,000 words. I'm like, I think I need to split this. Yeah. But for so long I was building up to the ending of part 3 as the it means I have to really wrestle with how to restructure this to make this book feel complete on its own too.
Yeah.
Did you struggle with making so part 1 then like still feel like enough, even though it doesn't hit that resolution?
Yeah, that's. I'm not sure. At least for that one, I'm not sure I really did that. Like, I don't think I've really managed. So I'm really proud of River in the Galaxy, but there are flaws, and that's definitely one of them. I don't wrap up enough. I try, like, I had so many beta readers get to the end to see what I could add without just going straight into the second one. And I think that's why one of the final scenes, there's some letters and stuff, which gives a bit of sort of, okay, this is where the story is now. This is where we've got a direction now. But it's really difficult, isn't it? But also for me, if you were to split it, you would essentially have a trilogy. And personally, I expect the second book to almost have a cliffhanger, to not really be, because it's not, for me. It's like Lord of the Rings. You can't just read. I mean, you could read just the Two Towers, but it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So for me, it's fine if it's not fully wrapped up in the second book, especially. It's the same, I would say, for Balfour's trilogy. I suppose you could stop reading after Robles of McGrath, but his arc is not done. The first part of his arc is done, but the second, like the important part where he really truly sort of mentally heals, because he's also got depression and PTSD and stuff, and where he really sort of finds himself, that's not till the third book. So for me personally, I would say split it and don't worry too much about wrapping it up, because it's not meant to be fully wrapped up. If you wrap it up too much, someone like me, I just won't read the last one, because what's the point? If it's wrapped up too neatly. I like when there's stuff where I'm like, but I need to know these things, so I'll keep reading. So, but it's difficult, because
there's definitely other people who will say the opposite. They'll say, no, I'm so angry that you didn't, and I'm just like, I can't please everybody. I'm going to tell the story as it is,
Yeah. So see, I would just say whichever you personally prefer. Go, like, that's why pretty much all of mine book twos, they're gonna have sort of an more open ending.
Yeah,
because
I don't mind open loops at all, because it just makes me want to keep going. If I liked the book enough, I'm happy to keep going.
Yeah.
So, which is tough. I mean, So it's a bit of a tangential question, but so in that case, is that how you write in general? You write for yourself. You write. I mean, most authors say that, but then there's definitely a lot of conversation in terms of market appeal of writing what other people want, and finding that balance can be tricky. But anyways, I'm curious which way you lean stronger. Probably, I think I can safely assume, but I'm curious.
Yeah, it's definitely like everything I write is for myself. Like it might look like I've written Lily Damselfly for the market, because it happens to be a popular genre at the moment, but when I wrote it, I didn't plan to publish it at all, and it took me almost 6 months to decide that I was gonna publish it. I write a lot of, especially short stories. Like I'll write short stories every few days when I'm in a writing period. I'll just write loads of stuff, and I don't know. I have hundreds of short stories, and I don't know how many of them, if any of them, are going to be released. I like thinking about them and being like, oh, maybe people like them, but I don't want, because the problem when you do publish is there's always going to be someone who's like being prissy about something that it's not that deep sometimes. and there's always someone like complaining about something, and it can ruin this like the joy I felt for that story a little bit when people do that. Like, even that's why even getting feedback, I pick and choose which stories I get feedback on. So if I'm not planning to publish it, I'm not sending it to anyone, because sometimes you get most people are really good. Most authors are really good at feedback, because they know how much it hurts if someone is like, this is shit.
Do you have these stories like printed out somewhere, like somewhere safe?
So I'm very pedantic about that. So I had 2 external hard drives die 6 years ago, I think, with all my travel photos.
Oh no.
So I don't have anything from. I traveled for 4 years around the world. I don't have pretty much anything from that. So since then,
That's
I
rough. I'm sorry.
yeah, and then like the year after my flat got broken into, they stole my passport with all my paper visas and everything. I have nothing from to prove that I traveled, except for a weird accent, I guess. But because of that, I'm really, really sort of. I've got all my stories there on 2 different Google accounts. They're on my laptop, and they are also on my OneDrive. And I email them to myself. So I've got them in
Extra
like
careful.
multiple places. I don't really print stuff because, again, I used to move so much. It wouldn't make sense to carry things around, and that still sits in my head because I just lived out of a backpack for 4 years. So I don't. That's why I don't really have that many books and stuff. It's just
Physical copies, at least. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Well, someday, definitely print them out because that's going to be very special for your ancestors.
That is true. That is true. I tried to write stories for my nephews, and they're very hard to impress teenagers, aren't they? So I've given up on that. It's really difficult. I admire people that can write middle grade and younger as well. Picture books are really, really difficult. I think people think that because it's fewer words, it's easier, but has anyone tried to write a back cover blurb and then you realize the fewer words is not easier?
No, exactly. And switching to mid-grade too, it's if you've been writing mostly adult content, not even extreme, but just for an adult audience, making that switch. I mean, you've read a piece of mine that had a more a playful tone. I had the option of making it mid-grade, and just as I started writing, I was like, no, this is coming out adult. It's staying adult. Even though it's from a younger POV, I just realized it's not that I can't or wouldn't want to learn the skills necessary, but there are whole other skills necessary to write to that audience.
Yeah, exactly. Because, and I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, that they think middle grade means that it's easy or even just like that the story is simple.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's a skill to make a complex story simple to the reader. That's really, really difficult. And it's just not something. I think I'm too, I guess because I've lived in Australia and the UK, I curse too much as well. So it's just
that was
I have to really filter myself, and I'm not sure I would be able to do that. And that's why I've tried to write for my nephews, because in Denmark nobody cares and everyone swears. They swear on kids' TV. It's just a lot less sanitized.
That's funny.
But in English, I don't think I would dare, because there's words that I don't even realize that apparently they're cuss words, and I'm just like, oh, I thought that was just normal.
Until some old grand gets offended.
Yeah.
Talking about middle grade, when I was reading your project, Tim, I forgot you said it was no longer middle grade.
Oh, that's funny.
I got to see. I was like, oh,
well, you read
this is middle grade.
The prequel to what Natalie read, but same world, so you get it. Yeah, definitely not middle grade anymore.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like, did I tell you, Natalie, that I ended up putting the chapter I sent you aside and writing the prequel to that story, and that's the novella that I'm going to be releasing next month.
Oh, I look forward to that.
Yeah, so that has been fun, and that definitely came out like adult. So now there's no going back. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting though. Is that for what's it called, Sphinx?
Yes, exactly. I wanted to get it out in time for Sphinx, so
that was my original hope when I decided to release Reflection of Lily Damselfly, and I couldn't shorten it enough. Yeah.
Which is funny. Okay, let's talk. Let's talk about Lilia. It feels hard to say, even though it's not. It's Lilia, right? Lilia damselfly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's the J that trips up people, but you just need to treat it like the Y in yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a soft because I do this a lot. People that read in a universe series will notice that as well. I mix languages a lot. Most place names and that it will be a mix between Danish, Swedish, English, Spanish. Just sort of I mash it up, and I think that's just how my brain works because I know snippets of languages, or I am bilingual, obviously, but so Lilja just means lily in Danish.
Fair.
And I've tried to change it to Lily Damselfly, and it
No, this is
didn't
great.
work.
It works.
It
Yeah.
didn't feel right because
Yeah.
I think just changing her first name into something not English, it helps give her that slight otherworldly feel.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so it's just, and that's just it. That's just what fitted. I think for me, quite often the title comes almost immediately for a book. It's very rare that I change it. And for this one, I knew straight away. So it was a dream. It happens a lot. I have very detailed dreams. But basically, I was in Wales last year, and I was with my mom, but I was really struggling because obviously I've got long COVID, and that has basically turned my whole life upside down. It's really difficult because I look the same, so people still sort of they forget as well. People that know me, they forget that I can't do loads of things anymore. But I was really struggling last year because it felt like I was just going downhill. I know now because I've been on enough, seen enough specialists that basically if anyone out there thinks they have long COVID, go see a specialist, but also just stop pushing through. Because the more you try to cycle, run, be active, because you must just be like getting weak or something, you're actually physically destroying your muscles and also basically your brain as well.
Your mental capacity too.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I mean, some of the people I've been on group courses with, they can barely speak because they kept working. Most of them were nurses, so they kept working for so long. They just the whole brain system is just degraded. They're sort of likening it to dementia now, the long COVID brain fog. So it's not just I'm feeling a bit confused. It's quite serious. So yeah, I was really struggling with that last year. I just started the courses that were telling me to stop doing everything. I'd been banned from cycling. I'd been told I couldn't walk for more than 20 minutes a day. I can walk more now, but it's still in 20-minute chunks, and then I have to sit down for 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, so it was just really tough. I felt really sort of shut off from everything I used to do. So we were in Wales, my mom and I think because just driving was so difficult and having the energy to look at stuff and take it all in, I was feeling really down. Even though Wales is beautiful, like if anyone ever gets to go there, it's amazing. Any time of year, it's amazing, and the people there are lovely. But yeah, I had a dream. I was struggling to sleep because it's not just fatigue and brain issues. It's also, for me, chronic joint pain. So they say it's fibromyalgia triggered by the long COVID. And the pain was really, really bad that week that we were in Wales. So I couldn't sleep properly. And I must have been like half awake and sort of just thinking about it. I'm not sure where the water nymph story came from. I understand why it was or everyone was dressed Edwardian, so I knew immediately that it was like an Edwardian sort of setting. But I'm really into Edwardian fashion, so that's definitely just that's something I enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like everything I make is slightly Edwardian inspired. And the story, I don't know why it really spoke to me, because it was so different. It was so light and fluffy. And when I first started writing it, I thought it would be a truly cozy, warm story. But as soon as I started, like the first sentence that actually came to me when I decided, oh, I'm going to write this down, the first sentence that came to me was about her illness. And I haven't quite registered that in the dream itself. So, like, I knew she was ill. I knew she was going to the spa, but I thought it was something curable. In the dream, because the dream wasn't that long. It was detailed, but not that long. It goes from the first chapter and until she arrives, and sees Melanie. That's spoiler, but I market it as a romance, so I can say that
Yeah.
she falls in love. She falls in love with Melanie, who's the inmate, immediately, and she did that in the dream.
Great
But
character too. I both of them are amazing. I love their chemistry. It's really fun.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I love Melanie. I really wish I could have written some chapters or something from her point of view, but she doesn't speak to me, so I can't force it like that. I know some people plan stuff out and they're like, oh, and then I need a point of view from this person and then from that, and I can't do that. Either the characters speak to me or they don't. And sadly, she doesn't want to talk to me.
And this story worked very cohesively from Lilia's perspective anyway, So
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. I know lots of people wanted to have some chapters at the end with them together, and I really, really tried when I decided to publish it, because I wanted it to be like 60,000 words. So it's like a proper novel, but it just didn't work. She wouldn't tell me anything of what happened after, sort of, other than the final chapter of Reflections, which I'm not going to spoil. But yeah, I don't know. She came at the right time for me, because writing that story, I think it only took me 4 or 6 weeks or something like that. It's not that long, but it feels like that in a way. Even though she doesn't heal, she suffers for her entire life. But it made me feel less alone in a really weird way, because obviously I've made her up. But it definitely healed something for me as well. And seeing other people now read it that are chronically ill, that have that same experience, honestly, I get emotional just thinking about it, because some of the reviews I've had from chronically ill people they're just very touching.
Well, I mean, I can second all of that. So, I have questions, and I have, like, we could go on about this story for years, because I absolutely loved it on 1,000 different levels. But that was the big thing, and I mean, that was the core of the story, and it hits home. It's not just about the sensitivity. It is, and I realize this is coming from your personal experience, but the depth of empathy for someone with something chronic and unseen, which is like, I mean, it hit home for me on 1,000 different levels, and seeing someone go through that, and it's not just like, you show the initial phase too so beautifully, where it's not just showing illness and pain and struggle, but showing the confusion of what is this, and not knowing and not getting the answers right away, and even though she eventually has people who are able to give some of those answers, even they don't have all the answers, so there's never a clear cut solution, and weathering through that, not knowing how to talk to others about it, like and I from my years where I went through something like 2 years. Actually, it was almost to the dot 2 years of extreme insomnia, combined with nerve damage at the time. And the nerve damage persists to this day. The insomnia, thank goodness, does not. But the nerve damage came with some other consequences, including to a point there's a lot of things I can't do anymore, that I used to be able to, and sometimes that comes with levels of uh, you know almost a sort of shame that I had to learn to weather past. Like the first time you are in a situation where you're expected to be active like you used to be, and you have to
Yeah.
you're forced to tell people, like the first time I had to move and had to get help and not be able to assist with some of the heavier lifting,
Yeah.
that used to be easy, and people are like, oh, come on, man, you can do this. Like, you don't understand what you're asking of me. And so, like, this was such a beautifully well done, uh just capturing that. And like you said, yeah, this story, you could tell it from third person. I'm so glad you didn't, because that deep immersion into her experience, and in the midst of that, the hope, it's not uh, a whimsical, oh, don't worry, everything will get better. It's love in the midst of that sorrow, love in the midst of her pain. Like, just so, oh, and the prose too. This is something I wanted to ask. Um, because I've noted you definitely switch prose styles between different pieces of writing of yours I've seen. So I'm curious, like, some of it, I think, how I'll ask it this way. How much of that prose was in order to capture the emotion, and how much of it was to reflect the setting? Because I realize it's Edwardian, Edwardian historical fiction, historical fantasy context, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so some of the prose seemed very fitted to that time, but then some of it was so, like, just the depth and poetry was absolutely incredible. So I'm just curious, yeah,
Yeah.
how did that happen? How did you change? Yeah, like how do you go from one form of prose that's like punchier and sci-fi fantasy? The transition to me is breathtaking. It shows a versatility that I was not braced for, in a good way. Like, it was really fantastic.
Oh, thank you. The It's hard to answer because when I write, I'm not conscious of what words I'm choosing and
Mm,
how everything flows. It's quite interesting because the book I'm editing right now is the last one I wrote. I think I finished it probably few. I think I must have finished it just a few days after I'd had the dream.
mm,
So I went straight from one thing in the sci-fi thing, and then straight over to hers, which is very different. And looking at the difference in quality as well, because the one I'm editing now, like the actual prose is terrible, so it needs several rounds of edits. Um, and I can see that it's that one was really, you can tell that I was really struggling mentally while I was
mm,
writing it. And I think for this one, maybe I just really needed to write something that was so true to myself, and to sort of, yeah, get all those emotions out of
yeah.
the sort of the fear, like, and the hope, and am I never gonna get better? How the figuring out how to reshape your whole life.
Yeah.
I think all of that that changed how I wrote. Um, I'm quite curious to. I've not looked at what I wrote a book, I think in February and March this year. I'm quite curious to reread that because that's the first full length anything I've written since Lily Damselfly. So I'm very
Mm,
curious to see how she's changed my overall way of writing.
fair.
Um, but it's usually not really a conscious thing for me. I'm very in tune with whatever main character, because I usually write from a single point of view, even if I do third person.
Mm,
Most books have one point of view for the whole book. And for me, when I'm writing that character, I'm not really thinking as myself as I'm writing. I'm just, it feels very much for me. I know some people say this as well, and other people think that you're crazy when you say it, but it feels like she was sitting next to me and telling me her story, and I just wrote it exactly the way she was telling me, which is why it feels like the prose, I think it feels like she does. With it being lyrical and flowy and flowery and so different. And that's why if you read River and the Galaxy, that feels more like Merlin. It's quite sort of, he's a very practical man. So he doesn't, there's no flowery, like if something is blue, he will just say it's blue or light blue or something. He's not gonna give you like a detailed color, where the Lilia, she will liken it to a specific flower at a specific point in its flowering period, and like she's much more sort of delicate and precise, while being lyrical. So yeah, for me it's more about sort of properly getting into the mind of your main character and just letting them sort of speak through your fingers.
That's awesome. I mean, you pull it off, because it's breathtaking, and even that element, the world building of and the character building of just how you capture nature, the elegance and beauty of nature through her perspective, had such an otherworldly feel to it. It was really incredible. And I mean, I love nature.
Yeah,
so
I mean, some of that is probably also, some of that is because I'm very autistic and experience the world in a different way, I think. So, I mean, she's definitely what, if she was a human, she would be considered autistic as well, that's for sure, because of how she has a lot of sensory and sort of
yeah,
happy
true.
birthday, Cole.
Happy birthday.
Will there be any more from Lily Damselfly in the future?
Not from her perspective. At least I don't think so. Sometimes characters change their mind and decide to speak to me, but she doesn't seem to be wanting to share anything else right now. But Veronica, also known as Brooklime, she has, I guess it'll basically be a prequel. I don't know how long it's going to be. I've got the title. It's going to be called The Murders of Brooklime Half Nymph. Because she's had a really long life. I think she was born probably 1200 or something like that, like a long time ago. And obviously she's had to live through a lot of volatile eras in the UK. So I've got the first line as well for that one. So once I've edited the one I'm doing right now, I think I'm going to dive into writing that.
Nice.
And just, I don't know if it's going to be a short story, if it's a novella, novel.
That's exciting to hear, because there's lots of hints in the story to her past, but and just enough for me to be curious. That's exciting.
I was curious as well, and I kept going like,
more,
tell me some more. And Lily wouldn't share more because, I mean, she can't, because she doesn't remember much of her past. But we also, the interesting thing with this one is, because most of that book is going to happen before Lilia has her memories erased, and she was really, really different. So I can't wait to write it.
So we're going to see some of Lilia too before.
Because obviously.
That's exciting.
They're related. So obviously we are going to see her, and she's very different. She's not the soft, kind spirit that we know in this book. I don't know if she's actually killed any people, but she definitely is not very friendly towards humans, as far as I understand. I've only got sort of vague snippets until I start writing. I don't know the plot. I just know it's about Brooklime sort of navigating the human world, and that's why I think that's why in the end she chooses to just assimilate as much as possible, because she's tired of persecution.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
And
I'm genuinely really excited for that.
I'm hoping, I don't know yet, but I hope that it's gonna end up sort of like a gothic horror or something like that. So we'll see. Yeah, I know how the cover is gonna look. So
is it gonna be really pretty like this cover, or gonna be dripping its blood?
Yeah, it's gonna be same style. So it's gonna be Art Nouveau again, but I think I'll probably do an autumn release. I need to write it first, so we'll see which autumn it's gonna be. If it's 26 or 27, I don't know.
So tell us more about the cover. Tell us like about doing this yourself and that whole process, which was really fun to watch as you were posting about it, little snippets. But yeah, tell it, like, because this is incredible. I love this cover, and it so perfectly captures the feel of the book.
It's funny because I wasn't quite sure exactly when Art Nouveau was like in, but it's a style I love, and because one of my places of work, I work in a museum, and then I also do all the reporting and stuff for an art gallery. They're sort of combined, but not really. They're separate places, but anyway, the art gallery, they have a lot of William Morris wallpapers. So I don't know if you know him, but William Morris was incredibly famous Art Nouveau artist. He's sort of the start of the movement, and I knew that he was a bit earlier than Lily Damselfly, so I knew that it would probably be still present, but I didn't know that it is actually, the book takes place in 1905. Yeah, 1905, and that's like the height of Art Nouveau. So as soon as I figured that one out, I was like, oh, I can go to town with this. And because actually one of the drawings I did of Lily and Mel, said it's got an Art Nouveau style, sort of esque. And that put me onto the fact that I could probably mimic that and hopefully pull it off. And I had the idea for this exact cover pretty early on. I changed only minor things. Pretty much the only thing I changed was the borders. They used to be wildflowers, but it was really messy because there's all sorts of different flowers, and it was too much. So I changed it to just be the sort of more watery swirls, just to make it a bit more cohesive. I don't know. Like I saw the cover quite clearly, pretty early on, and I think I didn't even do for the actual sketch stage, other than the wildflowers and the border. I didn't change very much. It was pretty much that exact composition that I came up with, and it is really heavily inspired by Alphonse Mucha. So he's another Art Nouveau artist. And he's done I think he's done 2 or 3 different ones that's called the Seasons. So obviously I used his spring, because this is supposed to be a spring book. So I used his spring as the template for both how Lily is standing and sort of some of the color palettes and things like that.
Well, I love that it gives the vibe of her standing, but also I immediately feel like I'm back in the kind of opening scenes of her in the pond, you know? So
both opening and some of the
later,
like the later, like the second to last, I think the one before Reflections, I think is exactly what she's got here, where she's got the irises in her hair and everything, and she's given a lily by the water, so that's why she's holding the lily. So yeah, it's two, and again that's the whole reflections thing. That's why also it's sort of mirrored, but it's not mirrored, because obviously her life changes. It was, the trouble is for me that I've got the fibromyalgia pain in my hands, so I can not really hold a pen very well, but thicker, like for a digital tablet. So that's easier for me to hold, but I still very fast get quite severe pain.
Okay.
Just like I was sewing a little bit earlier today. Like I really want this. It's a really nice and breezy top for when it's hot, but I had to stop because after about an hour, I think it started hurting too much, and I can feel my fingers are still pretty sore from it. So that's why it took me like 2.5 months, I think, to draw it.
I mean, it's
Because
still pretty great.
I need
You know?
breaks. Yeah, but I need
Yeah.
breaks, extended breaks. That's why, like, I'm not gonna. I might do character art at some point for people, but I'm not gonna do covers because it's too much strain. At least unless something happens and they figure out how to stop joint pain properly. So for now, it's just my own covers I'll be doing, and I've been working. I'm pretty much finished now with the hardcover, which I can't wait to
That's fun.
share. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very exciting. Is it going to be totally different or kind of following the same motif?
Completely different. So
Oh, that's fun.
it's a different style. It's another style that was also popular at the time, but it's more like a painterly style.
Okay.
So it's meant to look a bit more like oil on canvas style, rather than watercolory. It's a different perspective. Mel is in it,
Fun.
because I wanted to. I mean, the story is about Lilia, but I wanted to have one for the romance readers that
Yeah.
are picking it up mostly because of that.
Yeah.
And
Which, I mean, it's a pretty significant, part of the story. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really I need to make one more decision on whether something needs to be added or not, and then I'm done. So I'm hoping in August probably I'll be ready to share that cover.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. Yeah. Yeah. Cover reveals are fun. I mean, I remember this reveal, so it was very cool seeing this. You showed little snippets of it, little pieces, and then really built up to the reveal well. So yeah, the hype for this.
It was also just because I was impatient, because when you're drawing it, like you just want to show it to everyone. And so I had a few artist friends, Co and a couple others, that I would email constantly and send like sketches and updates and colors and like what should I do here? What about that? What do we think of the font? But otherwise, mostly I just didn't share it with anyone, and it's hard not to just look at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially you did it yourself. It puts a whole other level of excitement on what's already always an exciting experience. Sharing a cover for a book. But
I mean, it's especially because I don't want to do anything if I'm not, like, I have to be fully proud of something, otherwise I won't share it. So for me, it was quite a lot of pressure. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to actually pull it all together, but obviously it worked in the end. But I do love, like, if the other day on Instagram someone just, like, they saw the cover and just bought the book from my website as well. So it was
even
like
better.
double bonus. So I've got more money because it was a direct sale. And then they posted about it, and just looking at the comments from people I've never met before and just everyone praising it, that's something really special, I think. That brings it like an extra layer to being proud of a book. Yeah.
Well, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to two things. So I want to make sure we talk about your website. Now I realize, well, we're over an hour, so it depends on how much time you have.
I don't do anything ever. Like, I live at home. I'm just home all the time because I can't do stuff. So it's up to you guys. I know you got to speak to, is it Saffron later? So.
No, that's tomorrow, so we're good. Yeah.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. No, you're good. They're back to back, but a day apart, we're fine. Don't you worry about that.
Good.
Yeah. But two things came to mind immediately. I want to ask about your website and direct sales. But before that, just final thought on this, like that cover reveal, and even before people had really started reading the book, especially, like you said, it's a little over novella length. It feels like a novella because it's so easy to blast through. But I mean, it blew up almost right away. I think you had, what was it, 120 something ARC readers signed up. What wasn't it? Something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
130 total signed up. Yeah,
That's wild. I
Wow.
mean, that's an extremely successful opening, for
yeah.
yeah. So it's, yeah, I'm curious what went into that, and uh, well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just thinking it was seeing things like that. I already had the novella in mind that I'm putting out, but I think previously I was nervous about trying something like that because I wasn't sure there was. It's not just that there wasn't a market for it, but my heart was set on writing a big, big epics, and then I did that, and I was like, okay, what's next? And I want to
Yeah.
keep refining my craft and keep writing, and I wanted to experiment with some shorter stories that fit in these worlds, and it's been now I've caught the bug. It's going to be hard for me to go back to big after writing a novella and just how much
Wait
fun
till you
that
try
is.
pop-up books. Then you'll really get the bug.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, like, yeah, what do you think, what went into having such a successful opening like that, and do you think that's just where
Mm.
people are at right now, or what?
So some of it is definitely because I'm marking as like cozy fantasy,
Mm,
and it helps a lot that it's got a sapphic romance.
yeah, yeah.
Because obviously, ever since Legends and Latte blew up,
Mm,
anything that's even slightly adjacent to it, I've noticed pretty much all of them, of the cozy sapphic or even just cozy queer. Pretty much all of them is about a shop of some sort, which is probably because of
that's
Legends and
funny.
Latte.
Yeah.
Um, So I think I'm lucky because I've not actually read that book. I've got the audiobook. It's been sitting on my Audible for years.
Mm.
I've just not got around to it. But I think because for me, most of the time, I'm not really interested in writing something that's been done before.
Yeah,
It's not on purpose. It's just my brain goes in a different direction by itself.
yeah.
So I think some of it is that it's quite different. It's not a mermaid, it's a water nymph. And I've had quite a lot of readers say they've never read a story about a water nymph before, which I never thought about. I don't know why I chose like to write about a water nymph. I don't know where she came from. But there's a lot of water spirits in Wales, so maybe it's like
Mm,
a conscious thing because I know a lot of the folklore in Wales.
yeah.
And I was in Wales at the time when I had the ideas. I don't know if that was something. And also, of course, the healing waters and the whole spa setting makes sense because I'm in Yorkshire, where this is where a lot of the big spa, um, the both it was really big in the Victorian times, and it was sort of dying out by
Mm,
Edwardian times, but we still have a lot of those old spa buildings.
yeah.
So I think,
And you capture that really well too, even just the sense of it kind of being on the cusp of dying off, but still big enough that, anyways, yeah, it was very, yeah, the
yeah,
immersion in the world was very well done.
yeah. I mean, it's a time period I love, so it was easy for me to do that. But it was also a lot of work, like a lot of
Mm,
work. I've relentlessly posting, and I don't even want to know how many hours a week I've spent, especially on for this one. I knew that I had to find like the correct audience, and I also knew that it's
mm,
probably not on Twitter because Twitter is,
fair.
I would say, it's still pretty sort of male heavy,
Yeah,
and there's not as many romance readers on there. Maybe not as many cozy readers either. So I knew that
There's
I
a little
had
bit of
to.
cozy. I remember when the
There's
when
a
the
bit,
when the
but I had to find
latte.
like the right platforms, and Threads is Twitter like. So
mhm,
I started there, and then I realized I did have to probably post more on Instagram as well because I'd not
fair.
used Instagram for years.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm trying to put a little more time into there because I think it's
yeah, and
appropriate for,
it does work, which is
yeah.
so annoying because I don't like Instagram. I don't like the format of having to scroll past so many videos, and oh god,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
agree.
like the short form videos. It's not really me.
Yeah.
But I try to make them because apparently they sell books.
Yeah, I'll probably have to bite that bullet eventually, but
Yeah, but it was really so. The ARC signups, I had them. I actually opened them when I did the cover reveal, I think, but I only got like 5 or 6, and that was off Twitter and Blue Sky. I mean, Blue Sky is a wasteland, so it's not really.
fair.
Blue Sky is really good for non-Amazon sales, so that's mainly what I use it for. It's for direct and itch.
Interesting. Okay.
But really, as soon as I started more relentlessly posting on threads about my arcs, I think it was within 6 weeks, I got those 130 signups.
That's
and
great.
it is because it's very female heavy. It's very queer. There's a lot of queer people there and a lot of romance. So many, because they've all migrated over from Instagram, because that was the whole point of Threads, is that it's combined with Instagram. So it's all the bookstagram girlies or whatever they call themselves.
Who want a text-based platform instead of all the
images and videos. So because of that crossover, it was the right decision for me anyway to start posting on there. I think it really depends on your genre. Like I've not seen as much uptake for the space fantasy on Threads, because it's just not it's not quite the audience. It does sometimes help with like saying, oh, it's Treasure Planet, but it's definitely like it's just a different audience. So posting on there and posting more on Instagram is a lot of it, for sure.
Fair. Yeah, I've been wrestling with that. I realized just, I think last week, was not that long ago. It could within the last week, I realized I used to have a Threads account and I just did nothing with it, so I ended up closing it. I think that was before it might have been right around the time I first published, like in 2020.
I think because I think you followed me the other day, or maybe I saw you.
Yeah. So I closed. I think I had closed it for all of those 2 years.
But it's still there, because I went in. I was like, "Are you on Threads?" Because I think you followed me, and all I could see was stuff from 23 or something. I was like, "Well, it's definitely not."
It was invisible. It was invisible for all of the last 2 years, and then just the other day I reactivated it because I was like, "I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. Why in the world am I not on Threads?" I just there's no point, if it's easy enough to cross post.
And for Instagram, you can check the little box to just post straight to tweets. But I will say, I've noticed that if you do that, you get no views on Threads. So I actually just copy my Instagram post and go and post it directly on Threads.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It might change. Everything changes all the time, doesn't it? And like right now, I posted several things this morning on Twitter, and nobody saw it. Like literally nobody, which is just insane.
Yeah, Twitter has really weirdly fluctuated. I found even just within the last few weeks. I think a week or two ago, everything I was posting was blowing up, and then it suddenly just shut down. You can't really predict it. So
I think, and you got the blue tick as well, haven't you? So you should actually have a better experience than me, which is weird.
Although my blue
push you more consistently.
My blue tick situation is, well, I guess we're technically streaming there right now, so I have to be careful what I say. I'm not really worried. But like my blue tick situation is weird because I more or less tried to cancel it at some point, like a bit ago, and they like offered me a deal, and I must have misread it. I think at the time there was a big promotion going on for a massive discount, and I had the higher tier, and I was just going to cancel it completely. And they said, "Oh, but if you go to the lower tier, we'll give you a discount." Well, what I didn't realize was that discount was essentially 2 years free.
Oh God!
So I'm not paying a thing right now. I haven't paid for like almost a year, and I don't understand why, but I'll take it. So
So
that might be why I don't get as much benefit from it, because I don't know. That's my theory.
I don't know how it works, but
Anyways, so it's really funny. I'm doing nothing for it. So everyone's like, "Oh, you have the blue tick," and I'm like, that just lets me post longer posts. But other than that, I don't think it's giving me much benefit.
Yeah.
So. And I do like it for that. I like the free. I don't always like Threads. I find them really, like, I don't mean Threads the platform. I mean, choppy threads of
Yeah.
smaller posts.
Yeah.
I find super inconvenient to read myself.
I feel like there's just a few, like it's the limit is a bit too small.
Yeah.
Because Blue Sky have, I don't know if it's like 20 characters more or something, but it like those 20 characters is so good.
They matter. Yeah.
I use it so much, and I like Threads, the platform that actually has like quite. It's not too big, but it's a good chunk that you're allowed to write. Which
Yeah.
I quite enjoy that.
When Threads first opened, I found it terrible. And now I will say it has dramatically improved over the 2 years since I've
It's
been.
a lot better, and the algorithm is really strong on there. So it honestly, it just takes like an hour or so if you want to retrain it, and then you've trained it to only show you things you like.
Oh, that would be nice.
I find Twitter really likes to try and throw you things you don't like.
Yep.
And
I basically stay off my home feed. I have people I like you, like Isaac, like a whole bunch of others that I have it set to give me notifications, which I don't look at on my phone, but that creates a separate feed that I just get from just people I like. And it's like 20 or 30 people. And that's it. And then I don't have to see this garbage, you know. I don't like even the people you follow feed is a mess. So I don't go on that, and I don't go on the For You feed because
those two feeds are terrible. Yeah.
You just get crap pushed on you. I don't want to see it at all, you know.
Yeah. But Threads is good like that. Like it really fast picks up on. I don't know how it's picked up on things like that are like otters and wolves and stuff, but it'll just show me random. Like it's not very often, but every so often there'll be like a picture of an otter from a sanctuary, and it just makes my day every time. It just randomly pops up, and otherwise it's just books and cats.
It reminds me of like Meta and both Meta and Google are famous for if you say something out loud anywhere, even without a device near you, the next ad you see.
You're all gonna see otters now. I'm sorry. They are very cute though.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now I want to hear about because I mean one thing you do, just from what I can observe anyway, it seems like you do exceptionally well compared to most indie authors I talk to. Is your online store on your website and your sprayed edges and just selling books directly seems to be somewhere where you really excel. So I'm just curious about the steps you took to get there and how that's gone, and you've hinted at certain platforms are better for that than others, but yeah, I'm just curious about that whole experience.
I'm really fortunate that it's sort of my day job. So part of my day job title is online shop coordinator.
That would help.
So I mean, we use Shopify at work, which I would not recommend Shopify for most authors, because to get the proper functionality that you would want, you need so many apps that cost extra. And also Shopify, that's pretty much just for shop. Well, so I'm not particularly, like, I'm not saying this is the best platform, but I'm using Squarespace. As far as I understand, Squarespace and Wix is pretty much the same, but Wix prices have now gone up a lot. So then, because it used to be that Squarespace was the most expensive and Wix was cheaper, but Wix has changed their prices, so it's basically the same, those two. WordPress, I hear that they're better now, but I had a WordPress blog when I was traveling, and
WordPress is a nightmare.
For someone that doesn't like technology, it's just a nightmare to make it look nice. I think you can now do the drag and drop of blocks and stuff, so it's easier. But generally, I'm very sort of picky on what looks nice. Squarespace and Wix, I think they make it really easy to make it look very nice and professional. And you want that. You want it to look both professional, but also sort of a little bit premium, maybe. Like, you want it to look worth whatever you're asking. I'm not actually asking more than what it takes on Amazon, but you want to make sure, because people are quite wary about using a website that's not Amazon or eBay or whatever that they're used to. You need to make really sure that it looks properly professional. So you've got like really good pictures, which I just take on my phone. Like you don't need anything fancy. I don't have Photoshop. I just edit them on my phone and throw them up. But so you just need to sort of basically, what photos would you like if you were scrolling to buy something? So that's something I think a lot of people are not very good at, because the other day I looked at someone's website and I was like, this is the blurriest, messiest pictures. I can't tell, like, are the books bad? Like, are they going to look messed up as well? Because you can't tell. You want to make sure that it all looks nice and from different angles and stuff like that. The only thing is, Squarespace does not support videos on your product listings, which is really annoying for the sprayed edges, because I want to show how sparkly they are.
Yeah, it's always fun seeing those videos on your Twitter when I see them there.
It's so that's the only thing I would say for Squarespace. I've priced it. Yeah, so I changed the paperback prices at 1st of January. I just put them up £2. So they're not £10.99, but £12.99. And then on my website they're £12, no 99. So they're actually cheaper. But obviously, because I'm not paying Amazon for anything but the actual printing, I can afford to do that.
And then free shipping in the UK, right?
Yeah. Free shipping in the UK. I don't have that many UK sales. I think I still sell most to the US and to Europe. It's really weird. But I'm really happy. Like, it's been really difficult to sort of really break through, but it feels like this year touch wood, that it's actually finally like going really well with the direct sales. This month it's 6 months that I've had direct sales every month. So the website, I think I need 3 more sales, and then the website has actually finally paid for itself this year, which normally
that's awesome though.
And it's just, I think one thing that a lot of people also don't factor in is how much a lot of people do these huge book boxes, and with the whole box is printed, they've got loads of merch in it, and then the prices, usually they price it cheaply because they want to sell it. I mean, I've done that. I've priced mine the same as Amazon pretty much. But I don't do as much merch, and I don't do the printed book boxes and that, because a box like that, it's more than £1. I think it's like £2 for a box that's printed with your stuff on it, which is great. But I think a lot of people are not calculating that into their margins, because I do all the budgeting and stuff at work, so I'm used to making sure there's a proper margin on it. So that's another thing. Are you adding so much merch and so many extra goodies, which is great, but now you're not actually making money, you're pretty much losing money, then there's no incentive to go direct. Why would you try and push it? So you need to make sure. I'm not greedy, so I don't make hundreds. I think it's between £2 and £4 that I make on each sale. So it's not a lot. But I factor everything into it.
As opposed to a loss.
That's everything. That's if I've got shipping, and with the sprayed edges, I know how much that is per book. It's between 50p and £1 per book. Things like that, you need to calculate all that, because otherwise there's no point in doing direct if you're actually losing money, because you're adding so many goodies, which, to be honest, how many people need like 50 items? They're just going to go in a drawer somewhere. So you want to be selective and do something that matters, like what I've done for Lily Damselfly, where I've got pressed wildflowers from around my house, and that's one of the pieces of merch that you get, because I wanted more things, and I was like, I can't afford to just keep buying all these things. So it's like, how can I do something that doesn't cost a lot of money but is curated for this book, so it feels like it fits and makes sense. So I think a lot of people can probably make things themselves where it will have more meaning. rather than throwing, because I see a lot of people are throwing like 10 different stickers, and it's just something they bought in a box store, and it doesn't matter, does it? Instead of having like one or two things that really matter and is curated for that book.
There's a lot of pressure, I think. Sometimes in like the review, it's not, and this isn't on reviewers, it's the way it is you see these big book boxes arriving and reviewers showing them in their they're unboxing, and you're like, oh crap, I have to do that now. So you end up adding a whole bunch to every box you send, and very quickly you're at a loss. In my case, sending to the US in particular, which I love sending signed copies, but I don't think I've sent more than 2 or 3 where I made anything off them, because I didn't want to charge an unfair price. So I considered it a sacrifice on my end going in. The idea of doing direct sales at a profit for me right now would just be completely untenable,
But that's why it might be a good idea, because to do drop shipping. So that's what changed this year, and that's what changed the game for me as well. Obviously, that means the person doesn't get a sprayed edge, but they still get all the merch. So because the US have Amazon printers, I order an author copy directly to the buyer, like my customer, and then it's basically just a letter. So that's the other reason to not have too much merch, is so you can fit it in a regular. I mean, I use the rigid envelope, so it doesn't bend or anything, but it all fits in there. It's not too heavy, and then I can send that, because so they still get all the merch, they still get the book, they get a little book plate to get the little. I do a stamp, an author stamp, so they get a little book plate with a stamp that can go in the book. If they want to.
Yeah, well, I think I saw yours, right? You do it with a signature on it too, and
I don't do signature because it hurts so much to hold the pen. So my signature is
that's what I meant
there.
in the stamp itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's part of the stamp. Yeah. And then obviously I do a different one for each sort of part of the series and each book, and so it is sort of unique as well.
I love that. Like that's the thing, that would be an option. I see sometimes reviewers talk against book plates, and I'm like, you don't understand how expensive these things are. It'd be nice for that to be an option, because it's still you giving that personal touch. But I get people want something even more personalized, but like people don't understand the cost, or sometimes the literal physical pain, or these different things that factor in.
But that's why I offer both. So if someone does want a sprayed edge book, they can buy it. And I've just sent another one that I think it was this week to the US. So people can, if they want to spend the money, but obviously the shipping is crazy. So if you get the drop shipping option, you only pay, I think it's £5 for the shipping. And that covers both the shipping from Amazon to them for the author copy, and also the price of me sending the letter with all the merch.
Wow, that's very affordable. By comparison.
So it's just one of those things where people have to. They can choose. If they don't like book plates, they can pay the extra shipping, and they can't complain then, because they have both options. And if they complain, it's just because they maybe don't want to spend the money, but they can't expect us to not make any money, because we put so much money into our books.
You actually add up these numbers. It's
oh god, I don't look at my complete spreadsheet, because it's very depressing. It's very depressing.
I get it.
Lily Damselfly is 37% towards paying herself off, so that's very good in 3 weeks or whatever it is.
And well deserved again. It's
I mean, because River in the Galaxy is still, I think there's 60 quid left or something for it to pay off.
That's still not bad.
But in 2.5 years, it's
fair,
a bit depressing,
but anyways.
I think that's better than most traditionally published books.
Also, it's sort of this year. It's sort of stalled, because I've kept River in the Galaxy at 99 pence. I can't decide if I should put it back up to at least $1.99 because those 23 pence or whatever it is you get, it's gonna take a very long time to make it up to 60, so it's actually earned out. So I sell a few on my website, so that helps because obviously that's a couple quid every time then.
I'm going to be putting my novella at 99 cents, kind of as essentially a lead magnet. But for future novellas, and I do already have one in mind, and future books, probably not. The idea is have one thing there, cheaper to bring people in, and then everything else at a more fair price where I can actually have some semblance of hope of eventually paying it off.
Yeah, that was my idea as well. It was a lost leader, but I think because you can just read the first two, it's not the best idea actually to do it. Because if you just read River and the Galaxy and Outer Universe, you've got a complete story. So if you bought it because it was cheap, you might not want to buy the next ones and start the next part of the journey. I don't know. Well, yeah, it's not like a proper long series where you need to read all of them. I mean, it's beneficial for anyone that reads all of them. There are threads and things that are set up or not set up, but mentioned in the first books, and then it comes back around in book 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's very satisfying for me. But I don't know if anyone's ever going to read all of them and actually catch
fair because they function as almost individual trilogies within a longer series. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough, man. It's a tough gig we do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how do you feel for time? Because we do have a bit of a game if you wanted to have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
That's good. I might pop to the loo because I've drunk like a whole jug of water.
I've had almost a full pot of coffee. So.
It's actually finally getting a normal temperature, but I'll be a minute.
We will hold the fort.
Intermission time.
Intermission time. Oh, we need something for intermissions. We've never thought of this before.
We've never had to do that. That's a pretty good idea, actually. Have an intermission slide.
Yeah.
Or a fun technical difficulties slide with like
that could be good. Yeah.
Like a burning house or something.
Did I ever mention that my old apartment number was 404, which I thought was hilarious. So that came with a whole bunch of technical difficulty jokes. I think my network, I named my Wi-Fi network like network not found or something like that. Or I just had a lot of different jokes with 404 as the basis. That was it was a fun time. I got way too much amusement out of that other people didn't understand or appreciate. So
it's 404. You don't understand. It's 404.
Yeah, exactly. Good times. Oh man. Yeah. I don't know. And I'm not the most techie guy, but that to me I thought was obvious. And no, so many people were just like, what are you talking about? I don't get it. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, but anyways, Lilia, I mean, every single time. I mean, it's not hard. I same thing with Spanish. Every once in a while, there's the J's with the Y pronunciation, so it's not that hard to grasp. It's just, I always want to say it different. But Lilia, damselfly.
I said Lilja. First time I saw it. Lilja. Little J.
Took me a second, but yeah, fun. Okay, and I'm topped up on my coffee. Actually, my coffee today is, I made a post about it a while back and everyone loved it. I was like, oh, great. Probably the most hipster thing I've ever talked about, but it has, I made
avocado
it today.
in it?
Sorry?
Put avocado in your coffee?
No, not that hipster. There are limits. Although I could try it with avocado oil. That would be terrible.
No. Well, yeah, do it.
Well, like I think Starbucks, they started offering you can add olive oil to your coffee.
Oh, that'll help you pass everything later.
Well, I mean, the thing is, some of what makes certain coffees better is the oils, but then certain filters are too good and they get rid of all the oil and you lose some of that taste. So what I did with this coffee, this, again, brace yourself, this is as hipster as it gets. So when I was making it, I added chili flakes, cocoa powder, and turmeric. And so then that's all of those flavors are in the coffee itself. And then in the pot before it started pouring, I added just a little bit of coconut oil. So it's like the most wild I don't know, coffee experience I've had. Yeah. Anyways, it's yeah.
You might as well just
Totally.
put bugs in your coffee at that point.
Yeah. Anyways, it's fun. I don't know. So that's how I'm waking up this morning, is with spicy. So yeah, I would be especially this I would not recommend in 30 degrees weather. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopes that I have AC. But okay, are we ready for a bit of a game?
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Yes.
So, this was so much fun last time. I figured we could do it again. So, this is Terror of the World Builders. We're going to be making a little world with a little character, a little place he lives, and a little thing that he finds. And it's all going to be up to you to decide what this is.
Right. As in, do I say something now? What it is?
The next slide should be along
No.
eventually. Okay, here we go. So we have some guy. I want you to name him. What's he about? But I want a twist. He's had a bit of bad luck recently. So, what is that?
Okay. Is it this guy
you
here?
You could make up a totally different guy too.
I think it needs to be this guy.
It has. I'm changing. It has to be this guy.
Okay. I think his name is Greg, but he looks like someone who spells it weird. So it'd probably be spelled like G-A-R or G-R-A-I-G-E.
Okay, so he's
Greg.
Yeah.
He's annoying.
He's Greg.
He's immediately annoying me. Okay,
Yes.
Greggy.
It's because we talked about the hipster coffee, so now I'm thinking he's probably. So I'm wondering what his bad luck would have been. I think it's something. Yeah, I think it's something to do with it, like maybe bad traffic, but it's bad because it's been raining with squids.
Squid rain. Okay, he's had a bit of bad luck with squid rain and traffic. Poor Greg with his coffee, his hipster coffee. Okay.
Life's tough. Next slide.
Life is tough for poor Greg. Next slide. Okay. Greg lives on some planet. And this planet is in a bit of a political situation.
It's probably because the squid are sentient and they are annoyed at humans.
They don't like
I'm not
being
sure
rained.
why.
I was going to say for drinking hipster coffee.
No, probably not.
Maybe they were coming to visit, like to invite humans to the galactic community, and they saw the hipster coffee, and they're like, "No, we can't let this in."
It's too soon. It's too soon.
Yeah, and
they see
like,
how Greg spells his name.
How?
Like, no.
Nah.
So the political situation is there are squid that are not invading. Maybe they're just kind of standing there looking judgmental. There's some judgmental squid.
I think they're judgmental, and I think I don't know how much
as much as you want.
If you piss them off, they might use their tentacles to suction cup your face.
Okay, yeah,
that's great.
They're a little bit violent sometimes.
A little bit
violent.
Slightly violent, yeah.
So poor Greg was late to work because the squids are coming. But Greg finds something. Maybe it helps him, maybe it doesn't. And the twist for this thing, it's a bit of a glass half full situation.
I think he finds a gun that shoots tiny sperm whales because they eat squid.
But they're tiny.
He found the tiny sperm whale gun.
Huh?
It shoots so how big is tiny? Because a tiny sperm whale could be like couch sized, I guess. How big is tiny for the sperm whale?
Well, I mean, the gun is quite cool. So the gun is big, and they look, when they first shoot out, they look about like cat size, but then they sort of grow slightly, and then as they shoot through the air, they can capture the squid.
So the sperm whales start out tiny. They shoot out. They grow. Do they grow to full size to eat the squid, and then they just land,
No.
or do they just like shrink back down again?
They're probably the size of a cow when they land.
They land.
Yeah. Then they're gonna need a pool though, aren't they?
So they can just swim through space rivers, right?
We could have some flying sperm whales. I think that we have a whole new problem now. Because now we have these super, super loud whales just floating around. And
That is
well,
true.
that is a glass half full
And
situation.
they have big teeth. I mean, even if they're cow sized, the teeth are still about that big then. Because like a proper sperm whale are huge.
Oh, I think that would definitely maybe not solve the situation, but definitely add fire to it.
Change it.
Yeah, because now hipster, Craig, whatever we're going to call him, has now upset the intergalactic community.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
So Earth is being invaded by some other species now that the squid have been wiped out. This is troublesome.
It's not.
So basically, hipsters have ended the world. I think that's what we've established.
Well, Greg has.
Greg has, yeah, but he's representative. Yes. He's representative of the bigger problem.
Yep. Greg.
I mean, obviously, Greg is American because otherwise he wouldn't.
He's clearly American. Clearly.
As soon as he sees the gun, he has to start shooting.
This will solve the problem. To be fair, most animal problems can be solved with gun.
Oh my god!
I know from experience.
I'm not sure if you can solve it with a gun that shoots sperm whales, though.
No. Maybe he didn't know it did that. He just, this will work. And he shoots a sperm whale and actually goes,
this also kind of works.
It works, but now he's got sperm whales running around.
Did we establish where he got it from? Like who invented the gun?
Yeah, so he was stuck in traffic. Squids are hitting the car because they're falling, and they're like, "You guys aren't cool enough for the galactic community. Suck face." And he finds, maybe is it like
in a manhole? Maybe. I think he goes down. Yeah, I think he goes down to hide from the squid, and then he finds the gun and goes, "I can use this."
He says, "Somebody left this here for me."
Yes.
Okay, cool. It's a good
thing. He might think that it's his name on there, but it's actually just because he can't read properly.
That's right, because he's inept.
It actually says George.
This is George's gun.
So George is going to come looking for him now because he's lost his sperm whale gun.
George needs that because he's trying to save the sperm whales. He found a way to save the sperm whales by just generating them with a gun. But now
he's probably got somewhere else like a little shrink machine that puts them into the bullets in the gun, don't you think?
Because now we have a magazine full of sperm whales. I thought this was just magic them up, but no, there's a set number of them in the gun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Which is not good because squid, they can breed quite fast, can't they?
Well, that's good for the whales. A good food supply.
I suppose. Yeah, that's true.
Cool. Wow. Greg has made quite the mess, and I think it's really the squid's fault. The squid should have been more welcoming of the hipsters in their coffee.
Yeah. That's fair. That is fair. I will second that. They should have been more inclusive. Squid bastards.
Well, thank you for playing Terror of the World Builders. We've made a little nightmare scenario for poor Greg.
That was great. That was good.
There is a wonderful, I say wonderful, there's a wonderful book called Whale Fall about a kid who gets eaten by a sperm whale on a dive.
Is that not just Pinocchio?
No, it's not.
Or Job. Yeah.
It's I saw recently they're making a movie now with Josh Brolin attached.
Of this or of Pinocchio?
Of this book I read.
Okay. Oh, right.
That's great. I was just thinking this would make a great movie as I was reading it, and now they're making a movie. So I guess I'm lucky in that way. But it's fantastic. So the author, he did a lot of research, talked to a lot of ocean biologist people about whales and
marine
whales.
biologists, yeah.
Yeah. Those guys, the smart water people, and they figured out what it would actually be like to be swallowed by a sperm whale. First off, is it possible? The answer is yes if you're small enough, because the throat is about this wide, so you
I was
could get in
say,
there.
I think it's probably one of the only whales you can be that and an orca, because all the baleen whales, their esophagus is tiny.
Little bitty tiny.
Because they eat krill. They don't really need.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But down to like what the stomach would be like, what the second stomach would be like, and how to actually get out of there, and it was very good. It was written very poetically too, which I think you
I'm
really
trying
do
to
need in
imagine,
that
like,
kind of
can you
story.
like crawl your way back out? I don't know.
It was pretty terrifying. It was
Yeah.
pretty horrific and also fun in like a weird way. I'm looking forward to the movie.
I'm definitely gonna watch the movie. I don't know if I'm gonna read that. That's
Yeah, I
Whale
don't know.
Fall.
way
If you're
awful.
scared of the ocean, oh boy.
Yeah, that's
Oh
not helping me
boy.
at all. I love swimming, but yeah, the ocean is freaking scary.
Well, I've seen most whales, I think, but sperm whales are just fantastic.
Mm,
Like in real life, you've seen them?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
that's fun. Oh man. Yeah.
What
All
made you
right.
want to shoot
Well.
them out of guns? Because that was very specific.
I don't know. You were asking, like, I get prompts and I just whatever pops into my head.
That worked pretty
That's
good.
pretty great. Have you ever done like creative writing workshop kind of things like that? Because I talked to like we've talked to other authors, and I've definitely talked to other authors who find that sort of game or activity uh, not challenging or almost intimidating, where they'd rather leave the creative process for when it happens and when they're writing, but otherwise things like this are just like, oh no, stay away, stay away.
I don't usually do like I don't like D&D and
Mm,
stuff like that where you have to sort of
Mhm.
I don't think I'll ever co-write
Fair.
anything because I'm too it's too in my head everything that happens.
fair.
When
Yeah,
I
no,
do
D&D
write.
has no appeal to me at all. I have to be honest.
D&D is fun.
I've had so many friends try to get me into it, and it's not happening.
Yeah.
I've tried, I've really tried, and it's not my thing. I do find it quite intimidating. Like as soon as you pull that up, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be rubbish. But I usually just have like something pop up, and I think I fall back to sort of I don't know where the squid came from, but then as soon as you got the squid, because I'm a biologist, I was like, oh, for squid you need sperm whales, and how do we do the sperm whales on land? So yeah, it usually works out anyway somehow. But
Fair.
that is why, like my books, that's something I see quite a lot in reviews. Is it's very random. And I like that. That's how I think. And some of my favorite books. I mean, the only series I really reread a lot is Discworld.
Oh,
And
yes.
and I mean,
Fun.
there's nothing more random than Terry Pratchett's writing, and I love that. I love when you're like, this does not make sense at all, but it's hilarious and strange and fun, and I'm just gonna keep going along with it.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It really
Yeah.
is perfect.
I don't like when I say stream of consciousness, I don't like certain stream of consciousness writing styles, but I love stream of consciousness stories. I love the unpredictable and just when you can tell someone's imagination has just gone wild and vomited onto the page in a
Yeah.
really beautiful way. I love that, you know.
Yeah.
If things are sometimes too structured and too tight, it actually stops me from feeling immersed in the story sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
It feels too
yeah. I
artificial.
think sometimes you can sort of tell that they had an idea and they wanted the characters to do this thing, but then everything they wrote up to that, the characters are slightly different and they're not
Yeah.
either not ready or it's coming too late or too soon, or there's something where you can feel like they just wanted this specific scene because it looks cinematic in their head or something.
Yeah.
You can sometimes tell that, and that always throws me out. It's
Yeah.
for me when I write as well. It's very I start at the first sentence and then I just write through. I will occasionally move like a small paragraph up 2 or 3 paragraphs or down, but that's as much as I move around. Like I can't switch chapters because then I would have to rewrite both
Yeah.
the chapters so it fits with the flow of like the emotional state of the character and where they are on the because for me it's always about the emotional journey. It's not really I have external plots, like sometimes there's villains and revolutions and stuff like that, but it's always the core story is about the emotional journey. So that has to be cohesive. And then the other things are easier to move around, I think, what actually the external stuff.
Fair. Yeah, very fair. Yeah. Well, how are we feeling? We covered a lot. This was maybe one of the fullest conversations we've had, and certainly in a long time. That was awesome. Yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. So I mean, thank you so much for taking this much time out of your day.
Oh, it's
Um,
been so fun. It's been so
yeah,
fun.
absolute pleasure. No
What's
surprise
next
there.
for you? Like, what's coming out next?
Um, I think it's September for the third and final book for Balfour's trilogy. I need to reveal that cover. I've been sitting on the cover for like a year and a half. So I need to reveal that one. It's called The Silver Blues. I really like that one. I like his whole story. I know it's not for everyone because it is very. There's lots of external things happening. There is a revolution and everything, but the revolution ends by the second book. So I think a lot of people are like, but what? Why is this a third book then? But it's because it's not that story. It's not about the revolution. It's about Balfour's emotional journey and how he goes from being incredibly broken to sort of like that Japanese art where they heal a pottery with gold. So you can still see all the cracks that he's
Yeah.
got from all the trauma and stuff, but he's healed enough that he can find some joy and happiness in and sort of belief in himself. So that's why there's a third book, because that book is where he really sort of comes into his own and really realizes this is where I belong, this is the people I belong around, and yeah, so that it means a lot.
Closing off that character arc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it means that one because I think a lot of that was written with the whole figuring out, because I'm an immigrant, and figuring out where do you fit and having that feeling, that tug of war with like sometimes I really want to move back home because I miss my family. I have an amazing family, and it's very similar for him. His family is just beautiful people, but he's also found another place very far from home where he actually feels more himself. And it's not that his family is not allowing him to be himself, it's just a different version of him. And
Yeah.
I feel very similar. Like I want to move back, but I'm so much. I like how I am here a lot more. So it's really difficult. So yeah, so that's next. That's September sometime. I just need to pull myself together and put a date down. Really, it's finished pretty much.
That's
So.
still pretty soon. I feel like author
I
life
know.
makes
I
time
need
be
to
so
send it to my editor. I think I'm sending it in August to the editor. So.
Oh yeah, that's I'm getting stressed just hearing that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean I've finished writing it like 4 or 5 years ago. So obviously it's had loads of time to. So it is pretty much ready.
Just simmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, so keep us posted when that's coming out, and yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else you want to people watching to know? We've got all your links. They'll be below the video.
Thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
Yeah, our pleasure. I mean, and you and I have been going back since I started in this whole author space. So love seeing you do so well. Like again, and this novella was just, I mean, breathtaking. Really, really well deserved the success you've been having. So everyone, just go buy it. Don't think, just do it. And yeah, we will be absolutely. I mean, stay in touch and keep us posted on the next book. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, everybody, yeah, I think that's it for today. So, you know where to find us. Do all that fun stuff. Link, like, subscribe, follow all three of us. Wherever you can. All the links are there, and we will see you tomorrow. Actually, so stay tuned and